Next on KXLY4, tasers, batons, and cameras. It's all part of a pricey plan to beef up Spokane's police department, but one city council member says something critical is missing.
I just don't think it's a wise idea.
Plus, a Spokane brew house is creating jobs and making history with its new beer, but lawmakers in Olympia could leave them high and dry.
Essentially what you'll do is just put a lead weight right on top of this growing economy.
And then you have to be 21 to buy alcohol. Should the same apply to tobacco? Sound off at KXLY.com. And in tonight's Shining Star, our sports team heads to Rogers High School. Find out why tonight's talented athlete is brushing up his Shakespeare.
For certain, sir, he is not. I have a file of all the gentry.
Live from the KXLY4 HD Broadcast Center in downtown Spokane. This is KXLY4 HD News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nadine Woodward. Are there enough eyes watching the streets of Spokane? Well, that's what the city is wrestling with now as some push for more officers on the street. Take, for example, Rochester, New York. Similar population to Spokane's. Rochester, though, has nearly 3 times the officers on their police force. Take a look at other cities similar to our population. Boise has 310 officers. Des Moines, Iowa, 379. And Montgomery, Alabama has 524. Spokane, 276 officers. KXLY4's Colleen O'Brien live at the Spokane Public Safety Building with more on plans in the works now to increase the city's police force. Colleen?
That's right, Nadine, and a number of ideas have popped up between the city council and the police department. One dealing with using part of the city's reserve funds to pay for those officers. Another would ask taxpayers to dig a little bit deeper. The Spokane Police Department has $1.1 million coming their way. Those funds from the city's reserves will pay for new equipment and training. But City Council President Ben Stuckert says there's still something missing.
I just don't think it's a wise idea to spend $1 million over here on equipment when we are still short somewhere between 25 and 50 police officers in our community.
If you ask the police chief, he'd like 350 police officers on Spokane's force, 75 more than we have now. To start that process this weekend, the department held an orientation for potential recruits.
I think we're in a situation that historically we haven't faced in years. Our resources are below levels that we haven't seen since maybe the early 70s.
What are staffing levels at right now?
Critical. We just don't have enough resources, and the situation is not dire, but it can't get any worse.
Right now, the department has 10 positions to fill from retirements and transfers. Last Monday, Stuckert proposed more reserve funds be released for 10 additional officers.
It takes 18 months for an officer from the time they're hired until they're on the ground working for the people, and so I was just trying to get a jump start.
His proposal was shot down in a 4-3 vote. Now, Stuckert says the police chief will consider asking voters for a property tax increase to pay for more officers.
There are a number of different options on the table to help us to get more officers that we're looking at and considering. The biggest priority right now for our chief is getting officers on the street. If the property tax is the most viable option to get more officers on the streets, that money would also pay for body cameras that will be on every Spokane police officer. Reporting live at the Public Safety Building, Colleen O'Brien, KXLY4 HD News.
Thank you, Colleen. An 11-year-old Colville boy accused of plotting to kill a classmate will undergo a mental evaluation before his criminal proceedings continue. He is one of 2 boys charged in the plot to kill a fellow 5th grader back in February. The other boy has already pleaded guilty to the charges and is awaiting sentencing. Today, the defense asked for more time in the case so that the 11-year-old can be evaluated at Eastern State Hospital. He is due back in court May 13th. The co-defendant set to be sentenced May 7th. And KXLY4 News closely following this case. You can check into KXLY.com for the very latest developments. Now to a KXLY4 News update on a story we brought you last night. We now know the identity of a man found dead in a Moran Prairie home last night. The Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office has ID'd that man as 62-year-old Warren Schremp Jr. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His body and a small marijuana grow operation were discovered inside the vacant foreclosed home late last night in the Moran Prairie neighborhood. A call into 911 about a possible burglary at the home near Sumac and Havana spurred the investigation. And because of possible shots fired inside the home, SWAT and the Spokane County Sheriff's Office were called to the scene.
I looked out and there was 2 police over across the street on the steps. So I got my dog in the house and locked up.
Shrimp was the last person known to live at the home. Well, a beautiful day weather-wise today. Will it stick around for tomorrow? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Crocker.
We do have a few more clouds moving in for tomorrow, especially the second half of the day, but it's also going to be a little bit warmer. Ridge of high pressure in place over the region, but we are on the eastern edge of that ridge, so a northerly flow is keeping our temperatures cool, and with the clear skies across the region right now, temperatures are going to drop in the 20s in most locations overnight. Here's a look at our temperatures currently. We are in the 50s and 60s in most locations, although it's 49 degrees right now in Moscow and Pullman. Some places where the growing season is already underway, the Lewiston area, Garfield and Asotin County, and Moses Lake. We have freeze warnings in effect for tomorrow morning as temperatures are getting down into the 20s in most locations overnight. Right in Spokane, 31 degrees to start your day tomorrow. Some sunshine initially. We will see the clouds increase with a weak disturbance passing through tomorrow afternoon. Our high temperature tomorrow, 56 degrees. As quickly as those clouds move in, they are moving out. There's more sunshine and warmer weather in your 7-day forecast. I will have details coming up in just a few minutes. Nadine?
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Now to a KXLY4 update out of Seattle. Police tonight still investigating a domestic dispute that left 5 people dead in Federal Way, Washington. Last night, a 28-year-old man shot and killed his girlfriend at an apartment complex, then went out into the parking lot and randomly shot 2 other men to death. He then blew open a neighboring apartment door with a shotgun and killed a 62-year-old man inside. Officers arrived on the scene to the sound of gunfire. They shot at the suspect who was running away, then found him laying in the parking lot, and when he reached for a gun, officers shot and killed him.
I cannot be more proud of the officers who responded to this active shooter investigation. This is one of the most dangerous type calls for law enforcement officers to respond to. Their training, their commitment, without hesitation, confronting an active shooter is remarkable.
And as is standard procedure, 8 officers now on administrative leave during the investigation. Well, proposed new legislation could raise the minimum age for buying tobacco from 18 to 21. A New York City lawmaker is making that proposal. Texas recently attempted to pass legislation changing the age from 18 to 21. It failed, and several states have a 19 age limit for the purchase of cigarettes. It's a topic of our Sound Off tonight. Should the age to buy tobacco be raised from 18 to 21? Or should states stop trying to make more nanny laws? You've been sounding off all day on Facebook and KXLY.com. Terry says, at 18, they are old enough to serve in the military and die for our country. If they want to smoke, they should be able to, although I would hope they wouldn't choose to. And Ashley writes, I get that they are trying to raise the age of smoking to promote health, but if you want to smoke, you will find someone to buy them if you are underage. Go to KXLY.com. You can join the discussion on our Facebook page. You can also email us at soundoff@KXLY.com, and we'll share more of your comments throughout our newscast. Well, we turn our coverage now to the Boston bombing investigation. Today, federal prosecutors charged the 19-year-old marathon bombing suspect with using and conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev heard the charges from his hospital bed. That's where he is in serious but stable condition. The FBI says that he was seen on surveillance cameras putting a knapsack on the ground and then using a cell phone. The FBI says he and his brother were motivated by religious faith, but don't appear to be connected to any Muslim terror group. We'll have more on the latest developments into the investigation. That's coming up tonight at 6:30. Well, in just a few minutes, runners from all over our area will take part in a Solidarity for Boston run. KXLY4's Kylie Cruz live at the runner statues tonight, where people are already starting to gather now. Kylie?
And good evening, Nadine. A very good crowd out here at the runner statue. 6:30 it starts, so lace up those tennis shoes and come on over here. You've still got a little bit of time. But what's so neat is that runners that participated in the Boston Marathon just a week ago are here and taking part in this 2.62-mile run today. One of those is Joe Merrick. You are here. You finished the Boston Marathon about a minute and 15 about an hour and 15 minutes before the blast went off. What is it like to be here today with your fellow runners in Spokane and run in honor of the city?
Well, it feels, it's a big deal, coming out here, I feel, and having the support of everyone else. And it's, as a running community, I always felt like Spokane was a very strong running community, and to see the support, it helps know that we're not going to be held back by any event. So.
And participating in your first Boston Marathon, congrats on that, and congrats on finishing. And like you said, such a close-knit running community here, and it's evident by the people here. Still lots of people heading to the runner statue, and this is actually happening all over the country. There are races and runs like this happening in different parts of the country, so runners around the country coming together tonight in honor of Boston. Reporting live, I'm Kylie Cruz, KXLY4 HD News.
Great show of support. Thanks so much, Kylie. Well, the show could be over for the final remaining drive-in theater in Eastern Washington. Coming up, our Aaron Luna shows us how the drive-in theater in Colville is struggling to stay open. Plus, why a proposed beer tax out of Olympia could put a damper on No Lie's latest Spokane-style beer.
There is more sunny and even warmer weather in the 7-day forecast with a few other elements tossed in. I will let you know what to expect next.